At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Today we're going to be talking about a subject I have never talked about on the podcast, and that is importing stuff from China. This debate always breaks out when somebody says, I want to order a food truck or a food trailer from China, or they say, can I get something from Alibaba? And as you might expect, there'll be some people say, yeah, it's a good idea. There's some people say it's a horrible idea. And there's other people that kind of give the facts. So we're going to talk about some of those facts today. Before we get into the subject matter, I want to remind you guys I'm going to be in Houston, Texas, July 29th and 30th of this year, that being 2024. I'm going to be participating in the Food Truck Owners Expo. I'm going to be giving two classes, one on menu profitability. The other one is going to be on marketing in the off season. After those two classes are done, I'm going to be out on the main expo floor holding what they're calling campfire sessions, where you guys can sit down and talk to me and ask me questions about the food truck industry, or we can just sit and have a great conversation about anything to do with food service. In any case, it's going to be July 29th and 30th this year in Houston, Texas. Go to ftoexpo.com. Order your tickets today. Put in the code FTTG15 for a 15% discount. In our Facebook group and on all the other Facebook groups, you're going to have the question pop up, should I order something from Alibaba? Should I get my food truck or my food trailer built and deliver from China? Or they'll show a picture of one of those post office box looking trailers that have the rounded ceilings, and they'll ask, is this a good deal? And you'll get answers all over the board. Some people say, yeah, it's a great deal. Some people say, no, it doesn't because it's a bad product. And then other people say, don't buy from China, buy USA. So let's talk about some facts that you need to know when you're dealing with stuff coming from China. China, just like any other country that manufactures things, tries to do it inexpensively so that they can sell those products to another country. Remember, anything that's built in China has to be either put on a plane and flown here if it's small enough, or it's put on a cargo ship and then shipped here. All that adds on cost. So when you think about a product that's coming from China that you can buy cheaper than you can get the same product here in the U.S., you got to imagine they're cutting corners somewhere. There are some products that are built in China that are fine to use. There are other products you absolutely should avoid. Should we buy a food trailer from China? Is it something to be worried about? The answer is yes, unless you're buying a trailer that has been engineered by a company in the U.S. There are companies that have sent specs and engineering designs to China to allow China to produce a product that's going to pass any state inspection. It's going to be roadworthy because it's built to U.S. standards. It's just being built in China. Now, how do you find those products? They're not easy to find, but they do exist. You've got to ask when you're talking to those companies that are building in China, who designed it? What are the design specifications? And is it set up to pass U.S. DOT inspections in the United States? Again, some companies build to our specs based on engineering plans that were drafted in the U.S. There's a few of them, but not all of them. You have to ask those questions. Now, what we found on those companies that do build to U.S. specs, by the time the thing is shipped here, goes through customs, gets transported to whatever state it's going to be transported in, there's only a couple $1,000 savings. Because again, it's built to U.S. standards, so the materials and the time spent to build the thing are more. But there are companies that sell the exact same product, looks just like the great products. It's engineered to U.S. specs, except the workmanship is not following those engineering specs from the U.S. So visually, they look the same. Quality-wise, they're not the same. And that's the one you can get for $10,000, and it'd be fairly equipped and have all the stuff in it you want. And then by the time you get it over here, go through the customs and all that, you're saving $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So now it becomes attractive. The problem is the quality's not there. The electrical components may not be where you need them to be. The plumbing components may not be where you need them to be. Certainly the axles and the welds and all the things that are going to be moving and flexing when you tow the trailer aren't going to be as good as one that's engineered to be on the road in the U.S. And see, those are facts. Those are things you can check out. You don't have to say, don't buy from China, because that's one of the things that tends to get me a little upset. People don't back it up with a fact. They say, don't buy from China. It's horrible. Why don't you want to support the USA? And then those people that say those kind of things have no clue what comes here from China in the first place. Look at your iPhone. Look it up on Apple's website. They are working to get components being manufactured in other countries, but right now, a lot of the components inside your iPhone are made and don't have a hissy fit. They're made in China. Your Blackstone grill. The company's real careful to say that it's engineered in the USA, but where's it assembled and put together? China or Vietnam. But in either case, it is not made in the USA. There are many, many companies that use China, India, Pakistan, Taiwan, Vietnam, Korea to build products. Why do they do it? Labor is cheap. Americans want $20 an hour to be able to flip a hamburger. So the other countries understand that we can do things cheaper, and they do. And then they ship it or they fly it here, and it's still cheaper than something produced in the USA. And if it's built to USA engineering standards, well, guess what? You can't tell the difference. To wrap up this podcast, I just want to kind of shock you guys. Did you know that Apple products, and I mentioned that before, Apple products primarily made in China, Nike primarily made in China, Dell computers primarily made in China, Whirlpool KitchenAid appliances, they're made in several different places in mainland China, Radio Flyer children's toys made in China, components for Harley Davidson, Volkswagen, Bright Food, Tesla, and even General Motors. Some components made in China. Levi jeans, some outsourced to China. Barbie dolls, some outsourced to China. Converse sneakers, some of those made in China. Xbox consoles, assembled in China. Ralph Lauren polo shirts, made in China. Some Disney toys, made in China. HP printers, made in China. Ray-Ban sunglasses, American Tourister luggage, Gap clothing, MAC cosmetics. The world is getting smaller because of international trade. So please, if somebody asks a question on a Facebook group that says, hey, should I buy from China? Give them facts. The facts are something that's engineered to American specifications and built in China is going to work just fine over here. It ain't going to save you much money, save you a little bit. You might as well just go ahead and buy from here and keep somebody employed in the good old US of A so they can buy your food in the first place. But don't just say China bad just because it's built in China. If you honestly feel that Chinese builds are bad, please go through your entire house and throw everything away that was manufactured in China, that has a country of origin on its label as China. You can't be duplicitous and say one thing when you live another. So again, the question comes up on a Facebook group, give them the facts. Don't give them your opinion about China bad, because you'd have to throw away the phone you're probably placing that comment on in the first place.